action. Both teams are dealing with some injuries and some illness right now, but we've got some good matches lined up here this evening. Looks like about 2/3 of the weight classes are going to be competed for on the boys' side of things, and on the girls' side, looks like we're going to have 3 varsity matches, and then there'll be some JV matches thrown in as well tonight between the Cubs and the Bolivar Liberators. Glad to be with you tonight here on the Talon Sports Network and MonettWebTV.com as our first wrestling coverage of the 2024-2025 season, as the wrestling season got underway back at the beginning of December for the Monett Cubs and the Bolivar Liberators, and it will continue on into February. It goes by in a hurry. You've got December with a couple of duels and a lot of tournament action, and then you jump into the new year. You get a lot of competition quickly in the matter of just 2 or 3 weeks, and before you know it, it's on to district time and then the state tournament. But wrestling season, always an exciting time, and Monett with a great, outstanding tradition in high school wrestling that includes several boys' state championships. Of course, girls wrestling, a little newer to both Monett and Bolivar. The Missouri State High School Activities Association started officially sanctioning girls wrestling just here in recent years, but it has really grown as the sport continues to grow. Now the roster goes up and down for schools. A couple of years ago, it was the Lady Cubs having more wrestlers than the boys, but this year there are only 4 girls on the roster for head coach Justin Simmerad, but a nice group of Cubs for Coach Ben Hohensee, as this year the Cubs have 31 total boy wrestlers, only 4 seniors and 5 juniors, a lot of youth, 9 sophomores and 13 freshmen on this year's Cubs varsity high school roster. The Cubs come in with a record of 1-1 in dual competition. They lost their season opening duel against Branson, 53-27. Lady Cubs also dropped that duel against Branson, dropping it 52-6 to the Lady Pirates. But then the boys came back with a win over Reed Spring just last week, as they defeated Reed Spring 39-30 to even up their dual record at 1-1. Lady Cubs are 0-2 in dual competition as they fell to Reed Spring 6-5. As a lot of tournament action coming up for both of these schools. Of course, Monett will be in the Harrisonville Christmas Tournament later this week, the 20th and the 21st up at Harrisonville. And then right after the new year, the Monett Cubs head up to Springfield for the annual Kinlock Classic. Always a big time up there with a lot of schools participating in that holiday wrestling tournament in Springfield. And then the next dual competition for the Cubs will not happen until January the 9th, and that will be a triangular as they will be at Webb City going up against the Cardinals and the Diamond Wildcats. The Monett tournament's coming up on January the 11th at Monett High School, and that's always great competition. A lot of schools coming in for that one. The Cubs will be on the road the 16th of January taking on Rogersville. Then they head down to Branson on the 18th of January for the Branson tournament. They got a home match, and this will be their next home match after tonight. Will not happen until the 22nd of January against Berryville, Arkansas. And then they head to Seneca on the 23rd. They've got the Big 8 Conference Tournament on the 24th. They drive down to Cassville on the 30th of January to take on the Wildcats. And then they will be participating in the Mexico Dual Tournament on February the 1st. And that final match before districts will be a home match for the Cubs, and it will be against Willard on February the 4th. We told you it goes by quickly, and it definitely will be gone in a blink of an eye, that's for sure. We'd like to appreciate and thank all of our sponsors for helping support our coverage of Monett High School Wrestling, coast to coast. First State Bank, Huffmaster Insurance, Jack Henry and Associates, Ken's Collision Center, Shelter Insurance, agents Andy Brandt and Shelby Rollman. We thank them so very much for helping support high school sports in our area and Monett High School athletics. And we appreciate everyone being on tonight here on MonettWebTV.com and on YouTube for Monett Cubs Wrestling, our first coverage of the season here on the Talon Sports Network. Bolivar has yet to participate in a duel. From what I saw, I pulled up some track wrestling information, and it looked like all Bolivar had been doing so far here in the early part of the season was participating in tournaments, and one of those tournaments was a dual tournament, so you can get a lot of matches in a short amount of time going into those dual tournaments, but no head-to-head duels against other schools. It's just been a lot of individual competition for the Liberators. They've got a more experienced squad. Monett, as we said, with a lot of youth on the boys' side. The Liberators have several upperclassmen and some pretty lofty records coming into tonight's duel, so we'll see how it all plays out here this evening. The girls are going to get things started, and a lot of open weight classes for both Bolivar and Monett, as both schools are open at 100 pounds. Both are open at 55, at 70, and at 235. So there will be a lot of double forfeits there. But Bolivar has 6 wrestlers that'll be going up against open weight classes for the Monett Lady Cubs. We're going to take a quick break here while they play the national anthem, and then we'll get ready for the girls' competition here on the Talon Sports Network. Back with you here on the Talon Sports Network. The girls' competition is underway. Monett's Libby Jastel won her match by pin. In the other contested match, Guadalupe Rodriguez lost hers for the Lady Cubs by pin. And the next contested match for the Lady Cubs and Lady Liberators will be Natalie Canales going up against Adriana Lilly. Unfortunately, we've got a little blur on our camera screen all of a sudden. Everything was looking really well earlier when we was testing things. But now we've got a little bit of a blur here on the camera screen, and it looks like they have had to scratch that last competition on the girls' side, so there will not be a third contested match. So Bolivar ends up taking the duel over the Monett Lady Cubs. Monett does get 12 points, but due to all the open weight classes, those forfeits really cost you in the team points, and Bolivar ends up taking the match over the Monett Lady Cubs. So now we will be moving on, I believe, to some JV competition. There's going to be a couple of JV matches on the boys, and we'll make sure that that is what is going to be happening here as they are getting ready. A little hard to hear from our vantage point. We're in a rather unique vantage point, and maybe that has something to do with why we're having a little bit of a glare on the camera with a little bit of a blur on it, because we're going through a glass. We may try some adjustments on it here momentarily and see if we can get some of that to clear up. But unfortunately, when we got here, a beautiful facility, the Monett Middle School Gymnasium, but unfortunately, there are no outlets on the end wall, so the only outlets were over by the scores table that had to be utilized by the folks keeping track of everything tonight here in Monett. So we are up in the workout room, high above the gymnasium, looking through the glass, and it's quiet up here. You hear a little bit of background noise coming through, but not too much. So a little bit of a unique vantage point. We are high above the mat, so we get a good view of the competition. But we are separated by a wall and glass, so you don't get that crowd ambiance that you normally hear at high school wrestling matches. We've got a pretty good crowd coming out tonight. A lot of Monett Cubs fans in the stands wearing the purple and gold, and a few folks from Bolivar coming down to support the Liberators as well. Again, we're in the JV competition here, so we'll let that go ahead and be completed, as there were going to be a couple of JV matches, if I remember right. Double checking the schedule once again just to make sure, as Coach Hohensee was getting things together earlier. And it looks like we're going to have, actually there's going to be 5-6 JV matches, so I was off a little bit there in competition. So we'll continue to let these JV matches play out before we get on to the varsity competition, and we will see if we can get that camera to clear up for you as well. But looking through the glass, the view that we've got may not be able to get that to clear up, unfortunately, but we'll see if we can do some work on that, and we'll be back with more Monett Cubs wrestling here on the Talon Network. Back with you here from Monett Middle School, getting ready for the varsity competition between the Monett Cubs and the Bolivar Liberators. The Lady Liberators took the girls' dual competition against Monett. There were only 3 contested matches, and Bolivar won 2 of those 3. The JV match is just wrapping up, and now we're getting ready for the varsity competition between the Cubs and the Liberators. First duel of the year for Bolivar. Monett 1-1 in dual competition. Again, unfortunately, for some reason, we have lost the clarity of our picture, but we're going to try to go on here. Even with a little bit of fuzz, you'll still be able to see what's happening, and we'll get this dual match between Bolivar and Monett aired here. Don't want to just completely give up on it since we haven't completely lost our video feed, but unfortunately, we have lost the clarity for some reason. We are shooting through a piece of glass, but earlier when we were testing it, it had a clear picture, but then suddenly we have lost some of that clarity. So we'll see if we can work for, because I know there are a couple of more matches going to be here at the middle school. We might drag some long extension cords with us to be able to get a little different vantage point, but we'll see how it works out in the future. And again, we will continue on here. We're going to start at 106, and at that weight class, or are we going to start at 106? At 106, both were open, so a double forfeit at 106. And it looks like, nope, they're going to start at 215. That's where they were starting, at 215. And Monett was open, so 6 points to Bolivar for that one. And then in the heavyweights at 285, Porter Reed, the senior, with a record of 1-0, he has an open weight class facing him. And so now we move to 06. And at 06, or are we going to go to 13? Looks like. Actually, we may be starting out here. So, yeah, we were, because 06, 13, and 20 were all opens for Bolivar. So it looks like we are going to start at 26. 126, Jackson Stout, a freshman. He has a record of 2-4 going up against Isaiah Ortega, a junior, who is 4-2. So that's where we will start our dual competition here with our first match of the night between the Cubs and the Liberators. And right now, the freshman has got the best of the junior, and he's trying to finish it off here early in this first period. He's going to get some near fall points. He's got a pretty good tight grip on that leg, but he can't get him completely rolled and get the back down. Ortega's doing a nice job keeping that shoulder up off the mat. And now he gets back to his belly, but still the 3 near fall points. And then with the takedown as well, it's an early 7-0 lead for the Cubs wrestler. And there's the pin. And Jackson Stout does get the win by pin. So 6 points for the Cubs as they take the lead here. Now we move to 132. Bolivar is open. Axel Lopez, the freshman, gets the win by forfeit. So we will be moving on. And now the next contested match will be at 138. Kate Adams for the Cubs, a freshman with a record of 6-1, going up against Madden Ross. He is a junior. He is 1-6 for Bolivar. So let's see if we can get things caught up here on the scoreboard as they jumped into things at 2:15. So Bolivar got the 6, then Monett got the 6 back. Then we went to the double forfeits at 106, 113, and 120. So our first contested match was at 126, and Monett gets another 6 points. So they've got the 12-6 lead over Bolivar. And then we had the forfeit at 132 in favor of the Cubs. So now we're wrestling at 138. Kate Adams, freshman for Monett, going up against Madden Ross, a junior for Bolivar. And Monett's wrestler, Cade Adams has got the early 3-0 lead, and now he's getting some takedown points against Madden Ross. Monett leading the duel 18-6, and there is 3 more, looks like 4 points awarded to Cade Adams, and he's got a 7-0 lead. We're under a minute to go here in the first period. Wrestling at 138, Cade Adams against Madden Ross. And Adams has got a good grip on Ross right now, the freshman for the Cubs. Coach Hohensee, as we said, with a lot of youth on his wrestling team this year, as he's got 13 freshmen, and several of those freshmen are getting some varsity action here tonight for Monett. And one of those has already picked up a win, Jackson Stout, and now Cade Adams with a 7-0 lead in his match at 138 against Madden Ross. This was college wrestling. Adams would be getting some riding time right now, but that doesn't count in high school wrestling. We're down to the final 10 seconds of the opening period. This would be the first match to go into the second period. And it looks like Ross is going to be content to let the time expire. And we move on to period number 2 at 138. Again, for some reason, our camera has suddenly decided to give us a little bit of a blurry picture. We apologize for that. We'll see. It may have something to do with the glass we're looking through, but we had a clear picture when we were testing things, but now we've got a little bit of a glitch going on here. Wanted to continue on, though, as we'll try to work out the kinks. We've got a lot of Monett Cubs wrestling coming your way this season. This is our first match that we are televising here on Monett Web TV, and wouldn't you know it, we're having some technical difficulties, but at least we haven't lost our video feed completely, and we are able to at least get some of the competition through. Period number 2 is underway at 138. Cash Adams leading over Madden Ross, 7-0. Adams, the freshman for the Cubs, has got another good grip on Ross. He's trying to hang on to that leg, and Ross is able to get free. Adams, though, has got a good grip on the wrist, but now as they get to the edge of the circle, Ross has to readjust his grip, and now he drags Ross back into the ring as Ross was trying to get out of the ring and force a reset, but Cash Adams was having none of it. Now he's working back on top. We're not quite halfway through the second period. Good job by Cash Adams there to not allow the Liberator wrestler to try to sneak his way out of the circle. Ross has gotten to his feet, though, and now he's trying to work from above, but a good job by Adams. Hanging on to that leg has got him back on the mat. He's trying to get him rolled, but Ross is doing a good job keeping the back off of the mat for the time being, but Cash Adams really working hard, trying to get him rolled, and there's still 35 seconds left to go here in the second period. It's an 11-0 lead now for Adams as he continues to add on the points. We're getting close to a tech fall here before too long. It's already a major decision for Adams the way it stands right now. If he can get to a 15-point lead, the match would come to a close with the tech fall. You get 6 points for a pin, 5 for a tech fall, 4 for a major, and 3 for a decision. And we're down to the final 5 seconds of the second period. And it looks like Adams is going to let Ross get to his feet, but he doesn't relinquish his grip. And now the period with 1 second, they call for a dangerous situation. They stop action for just a moment. And then they will reset, but this final second is going to happen in a blink, and that's it. So on to the third period here at 138. Cash Adams leading Madden Ross, Cubs wrestler, with an 11-0 lead, and he chooses down to start the third period. Cubs with an 18-6 lead in points in the team standings as we head into the middle weights, and that's where a lot of the competition is going to happen tonight. Both teams having a lot of open classes on the top end with the heavier weights and then on the light end, but right in the middle is where both schools have a lot of competition happening here tonight. We're underway in the third period, 11-0 lead for Cade Adams. .30 seconds gone here in the third. Cade Adams still working from on top, gets 2 more near fall points. He now leads 13-0. 2 more points for Adams, and the match will come to a conclusion as he cuts Ross free, and that escape gets Madden Ross his first point of the match. Cade Adams still leads, though, 13-1 here with a minute to go in the third period at 1:38. He's got 4 points for his team, trying to get 5, and if he can get a pin, he can get 6. He's been close to a pin a couple of times, but the Liberator wrestler doing a good job staying off his back, but there is 3 more points awarded to Cade Adams, and that is going to bring in the tech fall. So 16-1. Cade Adams gets the victory at 138. 5 more points awarded to the Cubs. It's now 23-6 in favor of Monett. And we move on to 144. Chris Spears, sophomore for Monett with a record of 3-3, will be going up against Coven Parks. He is a junior with a record of 5-2 for the Liberators. Also be competition at 150, 157, 165, 175, and 190. So the middle of the weight divisions is where all the competition's happening tonight. Chris Spears, another young wrestler for Monett. He's got a good start to his season, 3-3, goes right at Coven Parks. They work their way over in front of the scores table. Spears coming off a 4th place finish in the Cassville tournament. Several Cubs wrestlers had nice showings down there in the Cassville tournament. Dyson Cutbirth, Luis Sanchez both finished in 3rd place in their weight categories. Cade Adams got a 2nd place finish. Ben Tate, who we'll see here a little bit later on this evening, got a 5th place finish. Henry Reed was 4th. Logan Cole finished 5th. Caleb Ferris, senior for Monett, one of only 4 seniors on the Cubs roster, he got a tournament championship down at Cassville. And then Aiden McCall finished 3rd in that competition at the Cassville tournament. But we're into dual competition here tonight, Monett and Bolivar. Wrestling at 144. Chris Spears for the Cubs has a 3-0 lead over Coven Parks. They reset at the center. And Spears working from on top. 40 seconds left to go here in the opening period at 144. Those wrestlers have all been doing a good job of staying with their hips high and working from the advantage on top throughout much of these matches. Now we've got a dangerous situation there, so the referee stops it. And the Cubs and the Liberators wrestler will reset. Once again, Parks will start from on the bottom. Spears still with that 3-0 lead. Parks this time does a nice job, gets a reversal. Will he be able to make it count? No. Spears is able to work away from it and avoids getting any points charged against him. And now he's trying to get Parks rolled back on his shoulder, but time has expired here in the first period. So on short time, Spears was unable to complete the move, and we will move on to period number 2 here at 144 pounds. Chris Spears for the Cubs taking on Coven Parks from Bolivar. 3rd duel of the year for Monett. They lost that season opening duel to Branson, but picked up a win over Reed Spring. That match was over at the MAC back on the 12th, and now here tonight at the middle school, taking on Bolivar. Early on here in period number 2 at 144, Chris Spears with the 3-0 lead for the Cubs, but now he is on the bottom as Coven Parks is suddenly able to work from on top, but Spears is trying to break through and get the escape, but he's unable to do it. Good takedown by Parks gets Spears back down on the mat. Working at the near side, about to get out of our camera view, so we'll have to adjust things a little bit here. Again, for some reason, our camera has decided to get a little electronic glitch in it. Got a little bit of a blur to it here. We were Working nicely early on, but once the matches got started, guess what? The fun of working with computers and electronics. Every now and then, things don't want to cooperate 100%. Good job there by Chris Spears. He's able to get 3 more points as he gets a takedown and then got one added to, and now he's got some near fall points, and he gets 2 more. So it's an 8-0 lead. He's worked it to a major here with 30 seconds left to go in the second period. So just like that, it went from 3-0 to 8-0, and now suddenly Parks has got Spears in trouble, and he's getting some near fall points. Boy, how quickly things can turn. We talk about it all the time, and there's a pin. Parks got Spears rolled on his back. He had an 8-0 lead, and the next thing you know, Parks was able to squirt free, got on top, and he picks up the win. Boy, a tough one there for Chris Spears as he had the 8-0 advantage, but as Yogi Berra used to say, it ain't over till it's over, and as long as there's a second left on the clock, a pin is possible. As long as you're not down by 15 or more and it's a major, you still got life and you can come out of anything. And we saw that right there with Coven Parks getting the pin after trailing Chris Spears. So now we move on to 150 pounds. Ben Tate for the Monett Cubs, another freshman with a record of 3-3. He'll be going up against Maddox Nesmith. He is a senior with a record of 7-0 for Bolivar. Of course, as we were talking earlier, Bolivar has not had any dual competition. They've just been in tournaments, but you can get a lot of action going into tournaments, especially if you are in a dual tournament. And Nesmith with a record of 7-0 coming into this one. So a senior against a junior. And Ben Tate off to a good start, 3-3 on the season for the Cubs. Early on here in the first period. Still looking for our first points of the match here at 150 pounds. So we've got 4 more matches to go before we get completed here in this one. And there's 3 points awarded to Nesmith, so he takes the early lead over Ben Tate. Neglected to give Bolivar their 6 points, so it's 23-12. Monett with the lead here in the match. Wrestling at 150 pounds. We've still got 157, 165, 175, and 190 to go. And just like that, we get the finish, and there are 6 more points as a good job by Nesmith as he gets the victory over Ben Tate. So now we move on to 157 pounds. Keenan Sheridan, another freshman for Monett with a record of 3-1. He'll be going up against Corbin Parmalee. He's a junior, and he's got a record of 5-1. So 2 wrestlers with some good records here early in the season. And early on, Sheridan gets the early 3-0 lead. Gets the good takedown, and now he's on top of Parmalee. Both of these guys have some good size. Sheridan with some length to go along with that frame. Again, wrestling at 157. It's a 3-0 lead, and now we got more points, and these are coming to Bolivar as Parmalee works back into the match, and now he's got Sheridan in trouble and gets the pin. And there's another one of those instances where things happen in a blink of an eye, as Sheridan had the 3-0 advantage, but then Corbin Parmalee got him rolled and gets the pin. 6 more points to Bolivar, and just like that, they get 3 matches in a row by fall, and they have taken the lead in the team standings, 24-23. Now we move on to 165. Henry Reed, sophomore for the Cubs, with a record of 4-2. He'll be going up against Cale McCurry, a junior with a record of 7-0 for the Liberators. Just underway here in the first period at 165 pounds. Henry Reed trying to get that leg and control McCurry. McCurry's able to get back to his feet, though, and now he takes Reed down to the mat and works on top and gets the takedown and earns the 3 points. So he gets the early lead here at 165. Working out in front of the scores table, so they'll have to reset. Reed chooses bottom, trailing 3-0. Going to try to get an escape here. Mikhail McCurry does a good job controlling from on top. Mason McCurry, I'm assuming they are brothers. He's a senior. He'll be up next for Bolivar in the match at 175 against Logan Cole. But right now we're 165. Henry Reed and Cale McCurry. 3-0, the advantage for the Bolivar wrestler. He's got Reed's leg and takes him clear of the circle, so they will reset. Reed again going to start from the bottom, trying to get an escape and earn some points. 43 seconds left here in the first period. Wrestling at 165. Cale McCurry controlling from top. He's got the 3-0 lead. Now Reed gets a hold of his leg, trying to get him rolled, trying to use his body weight to get around on top, and had him turned for just a minute, but McCurry was able to get him back on his shoulder and get 2 more points. It's now a 5-0 lead for the wrestler from Bolivar as we're down to the final 10 seconds of the opening period at 165. And it looks like the period will come to a close with Cale McCurry leading 5-0 over Henry Reed. And we move on to period number 2. We have not had a match go the distance yet. Came close at 138, Cade Adams and Madden Ross, but late in the third period, Adams picked up enough points to get the tech fall and end the match. The other contests have all been decided by pin so far between the Cubs and the Liberators. Unfortunately for Monett, they've been outdone 3-1 so far. Right now it's a 6-0 lead for Cale McCurry over Henry Reed, wrestling at 165. Early on here in the second period. Still have 2 more contested matches to go. Logan Cole and Caleb Ferris for the Cubs. Yet to come here against the Liberators. Coming up this weekend, Monett will travel to Harrisonville for the Christmas tournament, the 20th and 21st. And then they will be off until after Christmas and after the New Year's when they head up to Springfield January 3rd and 4th to participate in the Kinlock Classic. 2 more points for McCurry. He's got a 7-0 lead now. Needs 1 more point to get it to a major decision and earn the extra point for his team. Right now, Bolivar leading 24-23 in the team standings. Minute 22 left to go here in period number 2, wrestling at 165. Cale McCurry from Bolivar leading 7-0. Got more points coming for McCurry as he gets a takedown, gets 3 more. He's leading 10-0, so it's gone to a major. Now he's trying to get the pin. He's got Reed on his back, and Reed trying to keep the shoulder off the mat. Still 45 seconds left to go here in the period, though. That's a long ways to go. McCurry trying to roll him over, and good job by Reed fighting through and getting back to his belly, but more points coming for McCurry, 4 more points. And now he's 1 point away from a tech fall. Excuse me, it's 14-0, Cale McCurry. And 20 seconds left to go here in the match. And now the official awards the point, and that will do it. So 15-0, Cale McCurry picks up the win as he earns the 5 points for his team, and Bolivar now leads 29-23. So after the Cubs took the first 2 contested matches, Bolivar's run off 4 wins in a row, and now we move to 175. Logan Cole for the Cubs against Mason McCurry. He is a senior with a record of 5-0. When I talked to Coach Hohensee yesterday, the Cubs were looking to be open at 175, but with a wrestler coming up ill, battling sickness, Cubs didn't want to be open at too many classes, so Logan Cole got called to duty on the varsity schedule, going up against Mason McCurry. Early on here at 175, the wrestlers clear the ring, or did they? Nope. McCurry was able to keep his foot in, so competition continues. Now they release each other and head back to the middle and reset on their own accord. Mason McCurry goes down, gets the leg of Cole. Can't get him flipped, though, and get him to the mat. Cole does a good job fighting that one off. He's got head and one shoulder. Excuse me, got the cough starting up. Just adding one thing after another here tonight. We've been dealing with all kinds of technical issues, and now, wouldn't you know it, some physical issues starting to pop up. Still 45 seconds left to go here in the opening period. Wrestling at 175, looking for our first points of the match between Logan Cole for the Cubs and Mason McCurry from Bolivar. Down to 25 seconds left here in the first period. After Monett had the early lead here in the duel, Bolivar's won 4 matches in a row, and they've taken the lead in the team points. Down to the final 10 seconds left here in the first period, and the official stops action as we were out of the ring on the near side. So 8 seconds left to go here in the first period. They reset in the center. And that will do it for period number 1. No points. A scoreless match between Logan Cole and Mason McCurry. The senior for the Liberators is going to take down. He'll try to get something going. Cole does a good job controlling off the whistle. McCurry does a nice job rolling out of it. He got the twist and the roll, and he takes the lead 2-0 here as he controls from on top. A good quick move by the senior as he earns the first points here of the match. 30 seconds gone in the second period. One more contested match. Caleb Ferris for the Cubs going up against Sam Harless for the Liberators. That's at 190. Tightly contested duel right now. Bolivar with a 6-point lead over the Cubs. Halfway through the second period. Mason McCurry working against Logan Cole. Cole stopped moving there for a while. You got to be wary of getting a stall call, but he starts to work once again. McCurry, though, controlling the wrist for the most part, but then he let it go, trying to get to an elbow with 39 seconds left here in the second period. McCurry with the 2-0 lead. Now he flips Cole over, but Cole spins around and lands on his chest instead of on his back, which was good for him. Down to 20 seconds now left, and now McCurry tries a roll, and Cole is able to arch the back, does a good job, bowing the neck and keeping the shoulders off the mat. Good job by Logan Cole there. 2 more points awarded to McCurry, but he avoids the pin here in the final seconds of the second period. So it looks like we're going to be headed to the third at 175. And 2 more points awarded right at the end of the second period, and they go to Logan Cole. So it's 4-2. McCurry gives up the 2 points to Cole right at the end of the second period. So this is a good contested match. It was scoreless after 1. And then 2-0 after the first part of the second period. McCurry was able to take a 4-0 advantage, but then 2 points by Logan Cole right there at the end of the second period. 4-2 early on in the third. McCurry still working from on top. Cole trying to get to his feet, unable to do so. And now McCurry's got his legs wrapped around the midsection of Cole and had him partly rolled, and more near fall points coming the way of Mason McCurry. He gets 4 added to his total. He now leads 8-2 here with 1:15 left to go in the match. We're in the final period here of 175, and it's an 8-2 lead for the Bolivar wrestler. Logan Cole had cut the lead in half at 4-2, but then a quick 4 points from McCurry, and he's now back in control. Final minute here in the third period. This has been a very physical match. Both wrestlers are starting to show a little fatigue here late in the third period. Down to the final 30 seconds of the third. And Mason McCurry with the 8-2 lead over Logan Cole. We're down to the final 10 seconds, and it looks like this is the way this one is going to end. So Mason McCurry is going to win over Logan Cole at 175, 8-2. He gets the decision. 3 more points for Bolivar. They now lead the team standings 32-23. And it's on to the final match of the evening. 190 pounds. Caleb Ferris from Monett, senior with a record of 6-0. And he will be going up against Sam Harless, a junior with a record of 4-1. So this is the final varsity match of the evening. Got a couple of experienced wrestlers with good records early on in the season. So looking for a good match here to close out the night. Both wrestlers feeling each other out here early on. Ferris has the height advantage over Harless. We talk about it a lot here when we cover Monett Wrestling. If you've got that length to go along with some athleticism and some size, it is difficult for your opponent to try to control all of that many times. 60 seconds gone here in the first period at 190. No points up on the board yet between Caleb Ferris and Sam Harless. Now Harless gets into the legs of Ferris. Ferris is going to try to take advantage and see if he can control and get a takedown, but Harless is able to get his feet back up underneath him and avoid the stoppage at the center of the circle. But now as they get over to the edge of the ring, Ferris is able to control Harless, and he takes the early 3-0 lead. So a good job by Caleb Ferris. Looked like Harless was going to be able to escape, but Ferris was able to quickly control him at the edge of the circle and takes the early 3-0 lead. Final 10 seconds of the opening period. Ferris trying to work on the leg of Sam Harless. The time is going to run out here, and we are going to head to period number 2. Wrestling at 190 pounds, Caleb Ferris for the Cubs, leading 3-0 over Sam Harless. And Ferris is going to take down to start the second period. Ferris trying to get to his feet. He does. Now if he can get the escape, and he does. So another point for Caleb Ferris. Good job off the whistle. Now leads 4-0 over Harless. We adjust our camera real quickly. Again, for some reason, we had a nice clear picture when we were testing it, but then once the matches started, Things got a little fuzzy on us. Minute 18 left to go here in the second period. Now Harless works with some points as he gets the quick takedown, adds one to it, and we've got ourselves a match. It's 4-3. Caleb Ferris for the Cubs still on top, but his 4-0 lead is now gone. Harless takes him to the mat once. Ferris is able to get to his feet, and then Harless takes him down again. Still controlling from the backside. Caleb Ferris with a 4-3 lead, though, with less than a minute to go in the second period. Final match of the night, wrestling at 190 pounds. Bolivar leads the team standings 32-23 unofficially here this evening. After the Cubs took the first 2 wins in this duel, Bolivar ran off 5 consecutive victories. Now we've got a escape and another point for Caleb Ferris, 5-3. Cubs wrestler with the lead. Down to 25 seconds now left, second period. Ferris tried to get into the legs of Harless. He's got one leg and now trying to work on top, and there's some more points for Caleb Ferris. It's an 8-3 advantage. Good job by Ferris as he got the legs of Harless and then was quickly able to get around on top for the control. He's got a 5-point lead as time expires here in period number 2. We'll head to the third at 190 pounds. And Caleb Ferris leading 8-3 over Sam Harless. Unfortunately, even the 6 points would not give the Cubs the dual victory, but it would make the match much tighter, so we'll see what Caleb Ferris can do here. He's trying to keep his record unblemished on the season as well. Harless starts on the bottom. Ferris with the 5-point lead as we start the third period. Caleb Ferris trying to control. See if he can get Sam Harless rolled, but he's got to be careful. We've seen a couple of times tonight that Bolivar wrestlers have taken advantage of some movement and suddenly went from behind to a win with a fall. Harless is able to get to his feet, trying to clear the ring. Ferris keeps one foot in, and now the other foot escapes outside the circle, so they'll have to reset. Minute 14 left to go here in the third period. Last match of the night between the Cubs and the Liberators, and Caleb Ferris from Monett leads 8-3. Harless will start on bottom. Usually when you're behind, you do that, so if you can get an escape, earn some points. But Caleb Ferris does a nice job controlling off the whistle, and we're down to the final 60 seconds here in the third period. Caleb Ferris trying to pick up the win for his team and remain unbeaten on the year. It's an 8-3 advantage right now for the Cubs wrestlers. There's 40 seconds left to go here in the third period. He's controlling from the top, and Harless appears to be getting a little fatigued right now. Ferris trying to work on him a little bit. Again, like we were talking earlier in the duel, this was college wrestling. You'd be getting some riding points, but that doesn't happen at the high school level. 20 seconds left to go here in the third period. 5-point lead for Ferris. Ferris has got that left arm, and he is not letting go. He is going to control this one and ride it out to a win as we're down to the final 10 seconds here in the third. Excuse me. Harless tries one more effort to get to his feet. Will be unable to do so, and that is going to do it. So the final match of the night goes to the Cubs as Caleb Ferris wins 8-3. So he gets the decision for Monett. But Bolivar takes the duel as they win 32-26 in the team standings. But the Cubs do earn 3 victories here tonight against the Bolivar Liberators. So the evening of wrestling has come to a close here at Monett Middle School. We'd like to thank all the folks here at Monett Middle School for the hospitality. I'd like to thank Coach Fitz for helping us out as he was helping us maneuver around. Once we got here and found there were no electrical outlets on the wall of the gymnasium, we had to start improvising. So we started looking around for things to do and places to go, and we were able to get things situated up here high above the gymnasium floor. Unfortunately, we did get a little glitch there with the clarity of the picture all of a sudden, but we were able to find a spot to broadcast from, and we'll continue to work on things. And when you're dealing with electronics, you know how that goes. Some nights you have those little glitches, and we'll see if we can figure out what went wrong and clear it up for next time. But looking at how things went tonight on the girls' side of things, the Monett Lady Cubs and the Bolivar Lady Liberators competed in 3 matches. And in those 3 matches, the Monett Lady Cubs earned 1 victory. If I can get my pages turned here, as Libby Jastel improved to 8-1 on the year as she won her match. Guadalupe Rodriguez was looking for her first decision of the year for the Lady Cubs. She fell by pin, and Natalie Canales also lost her match tonight as well. But Libby Jastel winning her match for the Lady Cubs to improve to 8-1 on the year. On the varsity side for the boys, Jackson Stout got a win by pin. He improved to 3-4 now on the season. Cade Adams now 7-1 as he picked up a tech fall, 16-1 over Madden Ross. And then the final win of the night for the Cubs, Caleb Ferris, as he is now 7-0 as he won his match by decision 8-3 over Sam Harless. So the evening of wrestling has come to a close here at Monett Middle School. And again, we thank you for joining us. Our next hopeful broadcast will be January the 22nd. I know that seems like a long time off, but it'll be here before we know it. And that will be over at the Monett High School as Berryville, Arkansas comes to town, a new opponent for the Monett Cubs wrestling team, as they'll be taking on Berryville on the 22nd. We hope to cover that match here on MonettWebTV.com and the Talon Sports Network. Again, thanks to all of our sponsors for helping get these matches on the airwaves, Coast to Coast, First State Bank, Huffmaster Insurance, Jack Henry & Associates, Monett Rental and Sales, and Shelter Insurance agent Andy Brandt and Shelby Rollman in Monett. We appreciate their support of Monett High School athletics and our coverage of Monett High School wrestling. Again, our next match here on Monett Web TV will be January the 22nd against Berryville. The Cubs, though, will be busy right before Christmas and then after Christmas, as the Monett Cubs this weekend, the 20th and the 21st, head up to Harrisonville for the Harrisonville Christmas Tournament. And then right after the new year, January the 3rd and the 4th, they will be up in Springfield taking on competition there in the Kinlock Tournament. The Monett Cubs will head to Webb City for a triangular on the 9th against the Cardinals and Diamond. They've got the Monett Tournament on January the 11th at Monett High School. That's always a great tournament, so hopefully a lot of folks will be able to come out and enjoy some of the competition there. Cubs will have a duel on the 16th at Rogersville. They've got the Branson Tournament on the 18th, as we talked about. Berryville coming to Monett on the 22nd. And then they will head to Seneca on January the 23rd. Big 8 Conference Tournament this year is January the 24th. Then the Cubs will be down at Cassville on January the 30th. And then it's on to February, a Mexico Duel Tournament on the February the 1st. And the final home match and final regular season match of the year for the Cubs on February the 4th. And that will be against Willard, and we're going to try to maybe get that match on MonettWebTV.com and the Talon Sports Network as well. Well, thanks very much to Coach Ben Hohensee and all of his staff for their help and support getting us lineups and information. Also, Justin Simmerad, the head coach for the Lady Cubs. We appreciate his help as well, getting us information about their matches this evening. To very experienced wrestling coaches, the Cubs fortunate to have those, and the Lady Cubs and the Cubs wrestling team already with 3 duels under their belt. The Monett boys now 1-2 in dual competition. The Monett Lady Cubs still looking for that first dual win, but as we said, only 4 Lady Cubs wrestlers this year, and a couple of those do not have a lot of experience, so they will be learning and growing as the season goes along. We need to get on out of here, but we thank all the folks and the Monett coaches for their support and help here this evening, and we look forward to once again covering Monett Cubs wrestling in the new year here on the Talon Network.